All right, we're streaming. It's running, although it's already telling me things are laggy. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Canada Gold Show, episode 2. Right now, you're looking at a bit of a rough start. We've got this is a United States gold coin here that Greg Nelson with Canada Gold is going to tell us all about. And I lost my fancy cover. I apologize, Greg. I'm going to have to put it up a little later on. But hi, how are you doing today?
I'm very well, thanks, John.
Awesome.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm excited. For episode 2, I thought last one went really good, and I'm excited to learn. We were talking about this, in the green room. Really excited to bring to everybody today these coins you've got and talk a little bit about purity and what that means and why Canada's really picky about it. And as an audiophile, I can totally relate to that. So I'm interested in hearing about that.
Yeah, well, we've got a few different coins here to look at, and the ones we looked at last week were pretty cool. They were Chinese pandas and then the Canadian maple leaf. And the Chinese pandas, they come out with new designs every year. So every year it's a different coin, and they're all pretty interesting. These ones here, I think the theme of this week's show, even though we're talking about similar types of coins, these are all bullion coins,
right?
Which, as we mentioned last week, derive most of their value from just the gold content that's in them.
Right.
This week we're going to be talking more about the purity. So we're going to nerd out a little bit, and we're going to just sort of discuss the differences in purities between different coins and what that means and why they would be different and what the big deal is with the purity. But it really is, when you think about how valuable gold is, the purity and basically the percentage of gold in that coin makes it's a big deal. And to anyone that's collecting them or investing them in particular is going to want to know exactly what the purity of their coin is. There's nothing worse than someone coming in and thinking that they've got one thing and actually they've got another. There's some gold coins out there that are only 50% gold.
Really?
So, yep. And if you've got a 1 ounce coin and you think that's 1 ounce of gold, but it's only 50%, you've only got a half an ounce of gold. So it makes a big difference.
Yeah. I mean, I could see that, and with several things, purity is a major marker. Like I said, audio for me. However, with a vinyl album as opposed to a CD, you're really not looking at such an investment difference. I imagine with the bullion, you are. So can you, before we talk about the specific coins you brought, I just got like a really basic blank question is. What kind of difference in cost or in value is there between these purity levels?
Well, there's a few different answers to that question because it sort of depends on where you are. In Canada, the difference can be significant just based on taxation. And we have to pay tax on coins that are less than 99.5% pure. We don't have to pay tax on coins that are more than 99.5% pure. So, for example, I've got 2 U.S. coins here today, and the U.S. Eagle is probably a more common gold coin. There's more of them minted, but they're only 91.7% pure. So if you were to buy this coin in Canada, you've got to pay tax on it, and that sort of detracts from the value. Whereas the other one that we've got here, which was that first one that you showed earlier, that's the U.S. Gold Buffalo, which the U.S. Mint started making in 2006, and it is 99.99% pure. So it's got 4 nines on the coin. It's got the buffalo on the front. It's still a $50 coin. It's got a $50 face value.
Okay.
But it's going to have more actual value to it, especially in Canada, because you don't have to pay tax on this coin. Now in the States, I'm not familiar with the tax implications. I would presume that a coin that's a lower purity is going to sell for a little bit less, but right. I don't think that the difference in price would be as much in the United States as it would be in Canada.
Well, yeah, I mean, with the taxation in general, right? I mean, that's just insane, and I'm just gonna guess that in the United States we don't offer any kind of what is it, a disc? We don't give tax free based on having 4 nines or 5 nines. I'm pretty sure that's. I mean, we don't even get that accurate, right? In the United States, we don't do 5.
Well, this one here is 4 nines. This coin, I'm going to flip it over here. I'm going to show the other side of it, and it's actually 4 nines. So I mean, the U.S. Mint is starting to get a little more serious about that type of stuff, but I don't believe it affects the taxation of it. So the flip side of that coin.
Yeah, give me a second here because for some reason my shot's not pulling it up, and I want to make sure we have the right coin in here.
Okay.
I see it coming up there. Why are we not picking it up, guys?
So I'll just say the United States Mint actually only just started making this coin in 2006. Whereas most of the other mints, like the Canadian Mint, the Chinese Mint, the Australian Mint, they were making pure gold coins. So we're talking 99.99% pure. They've been doing that since the 80s. So the U.S. Mint was a little slow on the take for pure gold coins, but they're starting to. This is a beautiful coin, and they're starting to get into it.
Very cool. Greg, I'm going to take just a short second, and it looks like I just need to fix a small technical problem with the camera, and then I can pull the coin shot in. I apologize.
Sure, no problem.
Give me 2 seconds. Everybody out there watching, this is... just give me 2 seconds.
Is this part going to get edited out, John? Well, if not, I'll keep on talking. Just for fun. I've got a Krugerrand here too. I was going to talk a little bit about it. And the reason I brought the Krugerrand, and I think it's pretty interesting, is this was basically the first bullion type coin that was minted, where a country said, we're going to produce a 1 ounce gold coin, and we're going to guarantee that there is 1 ounce of gold in it. And when you hold a gold Krugerrand in your hand, ever since 1967, you know that the government has guaranteed the amount of gold that's in the coin. Now, these aren't pure coins. They're 90% gold, roughly. But it was sort of the beginning of bullion-type coins, where you could actually buy a coin to invest in. If you wanted to invest in 1 ounce of gold, you could hold it in your hand. So they're kind of neat. They were minted by South Africa starting in 1967. They still make them. I don't know if you can get a look at it here.
Hey,
No,
Greg.
it doesn't really work.
You trying to show everybody the coins?
Yeah, no, I was just saying, I wasn't sure if this part was going to get edited out or not, so I figured if not, then I might as well just keep on talking a little bit.
We can.
Talking about the whole Krugerrand.
Here's the problem. This is a Wirecast thing. Everybody watch. Well, nobody's watching live. This is unlisted. We can edit this crap out. What I need to do, Greg, is I need to restart it. It fizzed out on this camera, and I can't bring it back in without restarting it. So,
Okay.
are you good for time? It'll just take me about 5 minutes. All right.
Yeah, that shouldn't be a problem.
All right. I will. Actually, really. Yeah, I'm gonna hang up on this. Yeah, we will. I'll be right back with you. Just hanging tight. Crap. Okay, we're streaming again, Greg.
Okay.
And I'm just gonna put us back on this shot. I will need to check YouTube in a second. Come on back. All right, we're just going to run with this, everybody. Thank you for putting up with our slight delay. That's all my bad. I just needed to get a camera back in so we could look at these beautiful coins. Greg's back with us. And so go ahead. Tell us what we're looking at the back of this coin.
Okay, well, this is actually a different coin. I decided to bring out the Gold Eagle, because the Gold Eagle has actually been around for quite a long time. I mean, the United States has made several different versions of the gold coin, and they haven't all had an ounce of gold in them. The one in this shot here, this iteration, has been around since the 80s.
Okay.
I think I was mentioning before, and I'm not sure if this part made it in, or if that part's getting edited out, but what I was saying before is that South Africa actually was the first country to come up with the idea of putting 1 ounce of pure gold into a coin, and that's the bullion coins that we get today are sort of all based on that premise that you get 1 ounce of pure gold. Now they come in different sizes as well, but they start in probably the most common size to get a coin would be 1 ounce.
Okay.
So the U.S. Eagle would be very comparable to the South African Krugerrand, where it's got 1 ounce of gold, and it says fine gold on it. I'm not actually sure what that means, but it's not pure gold. This coin's only about 91%. The South African Krugerrand's about 90%. So these coins weigh more than 1 ounce, but they contain 1 ounce of gold.
All right, so that's a very important distinction. So just for the layman, we're really talking about when it's a 1 ounce coin, it's 1 ounce of gold. The weight of the coin is irrelevant. It's probably going to be more unless it's absolutely perfectly pure gold, right? So
exactly, yeah. Those 99.99% pure gold coins that we were talking about earlier, and the Chinese panda coins and the Canadian maple leaf coin that we showed last week, those are 1 ounce. They weigh 1 ounce. If you put it on a scale, it's going to be 31.1 grams, which is 1 troy ounce. Whereas this coin here that I've got up, this is going to be around the 33, 34 gram mark, I think. They weigh slightly more than 1 ounce because, of course, there's other stuff mixed in with it too. And so, I mean, either way, you're getting a coin that's been certified by the mint of its respective country. So this one here is certified by the U.S. Mint to have 1 ounce of gold in it.
Okay.
And you know that by buying this coin, you're getting 1 ounce of gold. So either way, whether you go with that one or this one here, I'll show the back of the other coin. So this is the Buffalo that they came out with in 2006. It's 1 ounce as well, but it's pure gold.
Okay.
The coin's a little bit smaller. The coin's a little bit lighter because it actually weighs 1 ounce. It's 99.99% pure.
Wow.
It's got a nice design on it. This is the front actually of the gold Buffalo.
Yeah, I wish I knew more about it, but I got to say this, Greg. I mean, I didn't spend a lot of time as a kid studying U.S. gold coins because I couldn't afford gold coins, right? I spent more of my time looking at the coins that my grandfather had and the ones that, you know, and the older ones, because to me it was about their age and which ones look cool. But this one, I mean, there's something about the design and the face. It just kind of pops out of the coin. And I don't know. That just struck me. I'm really staring at that right now, and going, "That's a really compelling image for something that's, you know, a collectible coin." So.
Yeah, gold and silver are materials that they can work really well with to get you a very impressive image, and the sheen and the finish that they can put on these coins is really quite amazing, especially nowadays with the minting techniques that they have. So this is another example of a cameo coin where the face on the coin has been given kind of a matte finish. It's not really shiny. And then it pops out because they've actually made the background on the image shiny, sort of quite a high polish shine. And you get a real good look at it if I move the coin a little bit in the light.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, it does stick up, right? I mean, it's not flat, but it's accented by the fact that they've kind of polished the under. You know, I can see what they do. You're using the right the terms there, but they polished the bottom part, and then the upper parts aren't. So it gives that depth perception kind of thing, right?
Yeah, it really pops out the image. And then the other thing is these images, the way that they mint these coins. I mean, they've always been very detailed, but the detail that goes into these coins is really phenomenal. You can look at this under a microscope and see the little tiny little details on it, like the hair, the feathers. If you looked really closely, this guy you could see his eyelashes.
Oh, geez.
So they really do get into very fine details on these coins. And to be honest, if you're buying this coin for the same price as a big lump of 1 ounce of gold, I mean, you're getting a lot of value in it. It's a really neat coin, and all these, same goes for all these bullion coins. They're certified by the mint that made them. They've also had a great deal of workmanship go into them as well, and you're basically just paying for an ounce of gold.
Right. But I guess from a collector's perspective, from an investor's perspective, I get it. It's an ounce of gold. That's a no-brainer. All right. From a collector's perspective, you've got the best of both worlds, though, because you've got something that's worth money, it's worth value, but it also has a value to you that could be beyond the gold price, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's these ones are definitely down closer to their value is in the gold price.
Okay.
But you're right. I mean, you're getting something a bit more. You're getting the guarantee. You're getting the craftsmanship in that coin. They're not particularly rare coins, these ones I'm showing you today, so
sure.
I wouldn't say that they have a high collectible value, but they have a very, very high underlying gold value, which makes them a much safer investment. Now, those collectible coins that we were talking about last week, they're pretty cool. They're not going to, they're older. Sometimes they'll be more valuable because they have a slight error in them.
Okay.
The quality might not actually necessarily be there, but you're paying for the rarity of that coin.
All right, rarity. So that's another aspect of it. But I guess from a purely artistic standpoint, not looking at it in terms of collectability, just saying, okay, if you were to offer me two choices, Greg, you said, here's a cube of 1 ounce of gold, and here's somebody who's taken that cube and turned it into a piece of art. Which would you rather keep?
Oh, absolutely. The mints, some of the mints around the world are really getting into this, and it's almost like a competition with them. They're using some very, very fine techniques to mint these coins. They're quite proud of the fact that they can do things like these cameos. The Canadian Mint is doing crazy stuff with some of their coins. I posted a video on Google Plus a couple of weeks ago about the Great Lakes coins that the Canadian Mint produces.
Oh.
And they have little, like, hollow pieces inside them that are painted in a blue enamel to make it look like the water from the Great Lakes. They have others that are, they have little Swarovski crystals embedded in them. There's a coin commemorating the Queen's Golden Jubilee, I think it is, and she doesn't just pop out the way a cameo coin does. It's actually a 3D image of Queen Elizabeth.
Holy crap!
They're amazing, and so they've really gone to great lengths to push the boundaries of what they can do with a coin.
Wow!
And it is art. It really is art. I mean, each one of these coins has an artist who made the design.
Right.
And they're really quite impressive.
Yeah, I think that's just what blew me away when Victor shared that, that, I forget what it's called now, but the video of the making of that giant coin, right?
Yeah.
And he put a comment, it's riveting. I kind of thought he was, tongue-in-cheek, jesting, right? But it kind of was. It was like, wow, there's so much going into this, and it kind of reminds me of a Fabergé egg, It may not be a singular one-off, but it's certainly a piece of work that you can buy a part of. That's just pretty cool. So.
Yeah, and then there's the other side to it as well, which is the Canadian Mint and a lot of the other mints are really pushing the boundaries in terms of how pure they can make these coins.
Right.
So the Canadian Mint, they have a special release of the Canadian maple that is refined to 99.999% pure, so 5 nines. There's rumored to be a 6-9 maple out there somewhere. Who knows? But you're dealing in 1/1000th of a percentile in terms of purity. These are things, getting back to your audiophile connection there, these are things that an average person would not pick up on ever. I would argue that people who are really interested in coins wouldn't be able to tell the difference either. This is something that the Canadian Mint is basically, they're saying, we're so confident in the way that we guarantee the purity of our coins, we're going to guarantee them up to this insane level,
right?
Just to prove how pure we can make a coin. And they're really getting into that, and they actually minted a 100 kilogram gold coin that was 5 nines as well. So it's one thing to have 100 kilograms of gold. I mean, just about any mint could pull 100 grams of gold or 100 kilograms of gold together. But the Canadian Mint took that 100 kilograms of gold and refined it to 5 nines. At the time, it was also the largest gold coin in the world. The Perth Mint in Australia, they said, oh, we can do better than that, and they came out with a 1-ton gold coin. It's over 1,000 kilograms. That one's not refined to 5 nines, it's only 4 nines, but the Australian Mint has produced the largest coin in the world. And it's like $50 million worth of gold in that coin.
Holy crap.
It's an insane number.
How many people are going to be picking that thing up? Or are they only making one? I mean...
Well, it's a 1 metric ton. It's 1,000 kilograms. I mean, yeah, nobody can pick it up. There aren't too many forklifts that could pick it up either.
No, I just, so they made bigger. You've got the most pure, right? And I just got to say, from an American looking at the Canadians, that seems to be your thing. You got the pure maple syrup going on. You got the pure gold going on. It just, you got the pure hockey. So just gonna...
Well, like I said, I mean, they're taking it to a whole new level in terms of purity. This is kind of like, this is the Canadian Mint's persona, I guess you could call it. They're the nerdy ones. They've said, yeah, we can make the purest gold coin ever. And then the Australian Mint, they've said, well, we can make a bigger one, mate.
Right.
So they did.
Which I got to say, I'm really surprised that the United States didn't jump on the bigger one and then make it a bomb or a plane or something. Here's our B-2 bomber coin.
I don't know about the U.S. Mint. Like I said earlier, they only started producing this gold buffalo in 2006. Prior to that, you couldn't really get a pure gold American coin. So they're a little behind the times on that one. This is a smaller version of the Australian kangaroo that I wanted to bring and show as well. So that 1-ton gold coin that I mentioned is just a bigger version of this coin. It looks the same. The image is the same. I'll move it over to the left a bit. You can see this one's got 4 nines, just like all the Australian kangaroos. They're 99.99.
Okay. And I just want to clarify here. So the Australians go 99.99. The U.S. only 99.9?
No. This the U.S. coin is 99.99 as well.
Okay, all right. But Canada's the only one.
Different years have different purities. The Canadian coins are the same. The older Canadian maple leafs, they were only 99.9.
All right. And just so everybody in the audience knows, yes, we are super geeking out on purity of gold because... Well, just cause. I mean, you can. Why not?
If you're a gold nerd, you know all about this. But I would argue that you'd never be able to tell the difference between this and 99.9.
So, and just to contrast with that, and it may be true, but I have to say I'm an audiophile. And for anybody who's familiar with lossless audio recording like FLAC, or anybody as old as I am, or as old as Greg is, who knows what the difference between an 8-track and vinyl and a tape and a CD.
I'm not that old. 8-track.
Oh, I'm sorry. You didn't have an 8-track? Shit, I'm older than you. Damn. So, anyway, they understand the difference between in quality between compressed digital media and analog media, and I'm one of those picky audiophiles. And as soon as Greg started talking about the purity of gold, I went, Canada's basically purist with gold. That's where they come at it, and that's where they excel at. And so I got to give them kudos for that, because every mint seems to be able to produce artistic works, and that's nice, and every mint can grab a whole bunch of gold and stick it together. To focus on precision and clarity reminds me of the diamond industry, right? And it just reminds, I like it. It's just refined. And so I appreciate that as an audiophile. I just got to go there.
Yeah, the Canadian Mint has a great reputation for that. And that's why if you walk into any gold store, currency store, you're going to find Canadian Mint products on the shelf. This is what they're selling. This is a standard in the world. The way the U.S. dollar is a standard in terms of financial markets, Canadian coins, Canadian gold and silver are really the standard in terms of bullion coins.
So that's a powerful statement to make, because, and I may be, I am totally stepping out of my bounds here. I am not a financial guy, but you kind of are. So I'm just going to throw this at you. And I think we talked about this last week. If we're seeing more of a return to gold being what's invested in because the markets are not stable, because people aren't sure what's happening with economies, with governments for that sake, right? And we know that gold is a solid investment. It seems to me like, what we're seeing here with Canada and with their refinement and their process, or for any of us interested in investing, is that gold makes sense right now. It makes more sense than investing in mutual funds. It makes more sense than investing in bonds or stocks or anything else, right? There's less risk because everybody seems to be clamoring back to gold for security. Right? Now,
gold is one of those things that's always going to have some value to it, some intrinsic value. Your stocks, they can go down. They can go down to nothing. Your bonds, they can default. But gold has always got, when I hold this gold coin in my hand, I've always got an ounce of gold. Now, whether that means anything or not, that will be to be seen. But historically, gold has always had a lot of significance, and there's only so much of it to go around. To me, gold is like real estate. It's like a little real estate investment that I can hold in my hand. It's an actual thing. When I buy land, I'm buying dirt. I'm buying a place that I can stand and say, this is what I own. When I buy gold, it's the exact same type of an investment.
Right.
It's always going to have some value. Whether the dollar goes up or down, whether the stock market goes up or down, I will always have an ounce of gold.
Right.
If I buy that coin. And the other thing is that the purchasing value of that 1 ounce of gold is remarkably consistent. So, stocks in the stock market hopefully goes up higher than inflation, and gold has as well historically. But when you look at the price of gold compared to other major investments that somebody can make, so for example, the price of a house, it's pretty consistent. If you priced out a house in 1965 in ounces of gold, it would be worth about, depending on the market, obviously, but it would be worth about the same as a house in terms of ounces of gold today. So that's where gold is really one of those underlying values that can kind of hold the rest of your investment portfolio together and provide you with a little bit of underlying security against inflation.
Cool. That's kind of what I was looking for, just to, I'm not a big investor. For me, it's more about the coins. It's more about how cool they are, and I always ask you questions along those lines, and I realize
that's great about these coins. I mean, we get people that invest in coins, and they're not really interested in the way that they look and who makes them, as long as it's gold. You're just buying gold. But these coins are really cool because you get the best of both worlds. You get something that's neat. It's easy to appreciate. You can tell there's there's a fair bit of artistry that went into the coin, and you've got a really good, solid investment as well.
Absolutely. So let's talk a little bit more about the kangaroo coin. Do you want to flip over, show us the back? Is that interesting?
This is the queen on the back, so it depends if you're interested in the monarchy or not.
Okay.
But,
Now,
the Australian Mint does a good job of the cameo as well. So you can see they've kind of done the reverse of it, though. So the queen's face is shiny, and the rest of the coin is a matte finish, which is different. I mean, personally, I prefer it the other way around. It actually makes the face pop out a little bit more. But this is another way of doing it.
it's different, and that was the first thing I noticed. Like everything was reversed, you know. And yeah, it is a different look. I'm not sure I'm a fan of it either, but hey, you know, it's different.
Well,
that's cool.
Here's the thing. I lived in Australia for a year, so I can speak on this. Everything in Australia is reversed. So drive on the other side of the road, which is, common for other countries too. But yeah, you flush the toilet, the water goes down the other way.
Right.
You know that, right?
Yep.
If you've ever seen that episode of The Simpsons, you know. They've got it's the whole country is backwards. So this is their way of making a cameo coin.
It makes sense.
And if there's any Australians out there, you know that I love you. It's just I like to bash the country because it's fun.
Well, and it sounds to me like you guys have some competition here as far as minting bullion coins.
There's clearly a rivalry going on when it comes to gold. Yeah.
Yeah, which is fine because the U.S. can stick with you guys in hockey, and you can go after Australia for the gold minting. All right, we'll just.
Yeah, I don't think we have to worry about Australia going after us for hockey.
No, I don't think so. Although let that be a challenge, Australia. Okay.
Who knows?
Do they? We won't even go there. So, we've talked about this. This is an interesting coin. Got the kangaroo coin. The other coin was the U.S. Buffalo. This coin. So the Buffalo, you said the United States hadn't. They started making that in the '80s. When did they start making this thing?
The Australian kangaroo came out in the 80s as well. Like most of these mints, so the Chinese mint, the Canadian mint, the Australian mint, they started making these pure gold coins back in the 80s.
Why?
And then the U.S. mint started making theirs in 2006. So the other mints all got a head start, and South Africa was the first to come out with the Krugerrand, the bullion coin. That was in 1967. But
okay.
All the other mints started to really jump on that bandwagon back in the 80s.
Was there a reason in the 80s for it? Just somebody said this is a good idea, or?
Well, it was, back, so in the 80s it would have been 10 years or so after the gold standard was abolished. So it was legal to own gold. Prior to that, prior to the gold standard being abolished, American citizens weren't allowed to actually own gold coins, pure gold.
What?
The gold standard dictated that your $1 US had to be backed up by a certain amount of gold. This is a whole other conversation for a whole other day. But I will say that in the 70s, when that happened, the gold market really started to open up, and that's when gold took its first really major run up, and people started to think about investing in gold.
Okay.
And then, so other countries started to get into it, and then we also had a period of intense inflation. So inflation hit record levels. Interest rates went crazy in the early 80s. I think there was just a general appetite for gold and investing in gold. And so these mints came out in the 80s and started supplying that demand.
Okay, that's really cool. I'm familiar with some of the history, but I didn't really tie all those things together into how this got started. So that's really cool to know that. Thank you for bringing those all together. And yes, it is a deep rabbit hole that we can go down on another show.
Yeah, and I would love to have that conversation with you. I can't say with certainty exactly what years those happened. I know it was in the 70s when gold, late 70s I think, when gold made its first major run up. and it's very interesting looking at that and seeing how it compares to the more recent rise in the price of gold, and then tying that together and trying to figure out what might happen in the future. Because of course that's what everybody's trying to do now, and if you're investing in gold, you want to know. We're sitting here today at about $1,250 an ounce for gold. What's going to happen in the future? Where is that going to go?
$1,250. So did it recently drop? Because I'd heard it was higher than that.
Yeah. So last week it was $1,300, and that's that's gold. That's typical.
It's still the highest price. I mean, I meant to go on this diversion. It's still way higher in value than than I remembered. I mean, it really has gone up a lot quickly recently, right?
Yeah. No, it has. And the funny thing is when it drops down by that much, it's not a huge drop. I mean, it's pretty big, but like 3% roughly is what it's gone down by in the past week. Right. It just causes more people to look at it and say, oh, maybe I should invest in gold because it's cheaper now. So
well, exactly.
You get more buyers coming out of the woodwork, and then the price goes right back up again. So there's an underlying demand for gold as an investment, and right now the market's just trying to figure out where that should be. And it seems it's been fairly steady between $1,200 and $1,300 an ounce.
Okay, so right there and there, $1,250, $1,300 an ounce for you selling a gold coin, a Canadian gold coin. You're just basing it on the price of gold, right? One of these bullion coins, right?
Yes.
Okay. For everybody watching, for anybody out there who wants to know more about the coins, because really the point of this show, and I want to publicly state this, you made this very clear to me. We're here so that Greg can teach me all this stuff about coins, and hopefully we teach other people about coins, because really, I don't know anything about it. And he's an expert with Canada Gold. The idea here is... What?
I just want to interject there quickly, John. I want to make sure that I'm clear. I'm not like the biggest expert out there. I'm kind of learning myself too. And I think it's really cool. I've been interested in gold for the past few years now, and I'm just starting to really get to know some of this type of stuff, and I'm learning as well. And I think there's other people probably on Google Plus and watching on YouTube maybe that are interested in learning about gold and what might be happening with gold and what types of ways there are of investing in gold. And that's where I'm coming from. I mean, I'm super interested in this stuff, but I don't think that I would really consider myself a big expert on it.
All right. So we'll take away the expert. However, you do have access to a lot of really cool stuff. Yeah. It's made of gold. Okay.
I do.
And it's all across the stores in Canada. And my point to this was that we're going to do this as often as we can, and we're going to learn together about these things. We're going to learn about Krugerrands and Gold Eagles and all the other coins for the sole purpose of learning. And so I'm just kind of making an open invitation to anybody who's watching this program. Canada Gold is active in Google+. So am I, SEO-wise. Find us, follow us, ask questions. It's kind of an open thing. If there's something in particular you want to know about or talk about, hit us up, because we're, what's the format, Greg? Once a week you go, hey, I've got a couple coins. Let's talk about them, right?
Yeah, no, that's it. I mean, we've got lots of stuff to show. I mean, we've got tons and tons of stuff we can bring out. And like I said, I want to make this I'm not a huge expert myself, so I just want to make this as accessible as possible. And if people come up with different questions and things that I hadn't even thought of, please do. I mean, that's the goal that I'm looking for this show is to be able to answer people's questions, even if I can't answer it myself. At least I can show a bunch of cool stuff, and I can get answers, and I can be here as a resource for anybody that's interested in learning more about it.
Fantastic. So yeah, it's exactly right. I can't wait, because I want to connect you with Pawn Boys. We got guys running a show. They do have a pawn shop, and I want to cook you guys up and talk about, see if they have something interesting on their end, right, with gold.
Very cool. Yeah, pawn shops. I mean, that's why they make great material for these types of shows, because there's always something interesting coming into a pawn shop. And We might not have the diversity of different types of items coming into our stores as they do, but it's still pretty neat stuff too. And anybody that's interested in gold, coins, jewelry, or any type of gold, really, we've got just so much product and information that we can share and show and talk about.
Absolutely. So, for Greg and John, we're going to sign off on this one. Maybe Victor will be with us next week. And this is just an open invitation. You can go to the Canada Gold websites, canadagold.ca. They got a lot of videos, a lot of information up there. Find us in Google+, the YouTube channel. This is the first show we've actually put on their YouTube channel. We'll be adding more. And this is not meant to be a high-level production. This is meant to be an open discussion. Let's learn about gold. Let's learn about coins. Bring us stuff. Greg, I'm going to say this, but and it's probably not the direction you want to go right now. But if anybody's out there that has something, gold coin, bring it to us. Greg and I, we can find out. Or we've got the nice thing about Canada Gold is they've got resources across Canada, different people that know different things about these things. So Greg may not know what it is, but somebody might. So
that's just it. We've got we've got staff all across the country that specialize in all sorts of different areas. I've got a gemologist who's at the JCK show this week, which is the world's largest diamond show in Las Vegas, and she's there talking to all sorts of people at the JCK show about diamonds, and our company is into diamonds in a big way, and she's got a huge amount of knowledge when it comes to diamonds and other gemstones. She's a graduate certified gemologist. She trained in New York City under the GIA. We've got coin experts. We've got all sorts of great knowledge within our company that we just want to put out there and share. So if there's anybody out there watching who has something that they don't know about, or something that they want to learn more about, something that they just want to share with us, take a picture of it, talk about it. I've got vast amounts of knowledge that I can tap into that we can find out more about your items for you. So if you've got an old coin that you're looking to figure out what it's worth, or even a diamond or anything like that, we're very interested in just sort of spreading the knowledge and helping people learn about it.
Awesome. That's what Google Plus is all about for Canada Gold. And SEO-wise, or not really, for me, John Ellis, and Greg with Canada Gold, this has been Canada Gold Show Episode 2, and we will talk to you guys probably next week. We'll have a couple different coins, and maybe we'll have Victor, right?
Yeah, I think he'll be here next Thursday.
Awesome. All right. Bye, everybody.